morning. My name is Patrick Sanders. I'm your host today for the Big Series webinar. This is going to be a multiple series event every month throughout July, August, September, October. The Interfaith Small Business Association is putting on free webinars. So you can always go to our website and check out what we're doing over there. A lot of information about COVID and small businesses, tips and tools that'll help you get to where you're trying to go or assist you in some direction. We're certainly glad that you all are joining in, and pray that you would also be chiming in. But please understand, this is, though we're talking interfaith, it is not necessarily we're going to take you to church. We gotta do our business better. And so I want you to believe in yourself, believe in your business plan, and therefore you'll get those results that you're looking for, even with bumps in the road. So today we have some people that are going to join us, some panelists. I have Miss Regina Gaines from Detroit, Michigan. I have on the phone with me right now till we get him on, Pastor Kendall Wright. Phenomenal man in his own right, world changer and traveler. He's a professional coach and developer for corporate America. Ruben West will be joining us shortly as well. He's an international travel, motivational speaker, life coach, and owns a bunch of karate dojos in the southern region, Oklahoma, Tulsa, in that area, as well as Illinois, I do believe. And Ruben, we'll talk some more about him because he's one of the rarest that I've met. Kendall, Regina, you guys really love him. He developed the Surgeon's Assistance Program for the United States. He actually wrote the curriculum for what a surgeon's assistant was and is, and how he or she is to function in the operating room. A brilliant brother in his own right, and as humble as they come. So has a lot going on. So we got a lot to talk about. We only have an hour, so we're not gonna keep you guys long, and it'll be lunchtime in our area. So we'll start with Miss Regina. We'll get everybody else on as they are able to log on. She's a friend that I met through someone else, and she owns the House of Pure Vine. Did I say that right?
Then.
House of Pure Vine in Detroit. She's of course, young Black lady that is inspiring to do some major things in that Detroit area, and she's doing it too. If you're in Detroit, go by and visit her on Woodworth. I don't know how she got property on Woodworth. You got to know Detroit. She's in the honey pot of Detroit on Woodworth Avenue, and the Q passes right by her place. So that is great to know if you're in that market. So Miss Regina, good morning again.
Good morning, Pastor.
Well, listen, it's thank you again for coming on and talking with us and sharing. We're going to be, of course, having a great conversation about what you do at the House of Pure Vine, and how COVID, of course, has impacted your business, good, bad, and ugly. If you're like most business people, everybody's trying to figure this thing out. And I just wanted to kind of pick your brain about what you're doing, what your thoughts are, and what's your forecast for what you see in your business, because you're in the winery business. Now,
yes,
what's the technical term for you for what you do?
Well, actually, I am a retailer.
Okay.
We specialize in wine. We are a cross-pollination between a winery and a retail store.
Okay.
So we have like a tasting room.
Right. But are you the person, in Europe, they have that guy that walks around with the chain.
Sommelier.
Yeah, there you go.
No, I'm not personally a sommelier, but I do have 4 of them on my staff.
Wow. Now, how hard was that to get that many people at that level?
So it wasn't that hard. So I was very blessed. And early on, when we first opened, we actually had a master sommelier. She was like one of the 7th woman to actually pass the test, one of 25 women in the world.
Wow.
And think it's only 200 of them. So they're like the PhD of wine.
Right.
Once you have somebody like that on your team, then they all want to train underneath her. So probably a year before Corona, she got sick. She was scheduled to come back in April, but Corona hit, so she can't be around. She's an older woman, so her system compromised. But she was like a magnet. She attracted a lot of people, right?
Wow.
Also, too, we're a disruptor. So the way that we're doing things in the wine industry is kind of like a disruption to norm. So we've also attracted a lot of people just because we're a disruptor in how we do things. We figured out a way to retail wine and sell wine. And I think for a lot of the somms, they're just used to dealing with wine lists. It's the same thing. You sit down with your restaurant owner or beverage director and you figure out exactly what wines do you think compare well on their menu, and your job is to just kind of sell that wine list. Well, of us, you know, we rotating all the time. So if you're a buyer, which majority of them are for my store, they're having a field day because all they do is just figure out what's coming into the store. So it's always revolving.
Wow.
Our whole, like I said, our whole business model is a disruptor.
Right. And so, of course, I've been to your place of business, your winery, your retail space. It's gorgeous. Now, for those of us that, for the super saved people, this is not for you. We're talking about people that know who they are and know who, you know, that it's not, you know, that kind of spot. This is not a place you're going to turn up. This is a place you're going to have an intelligent meeting, a business meeting, or just enjoy some good wine. I mean, because I was there, and
Right.
really, it's really top notch. It was just the wall is just phenomenal of wines that you have, and you have them from various regions around the world. Is that right?
Right. Various regions from all around the world. Most of the wines are boutique wines. We do carry a large selection of African American as well as Michigan winemakers. I think the vision of it was a couple things. One, we wanted, when you go through the history of Michigan in the retailers, especially, you think about Jacobson's and Winkelmann's and Spiegel's, even Kresge's. We were like home brand kind of stores that went national. So we kind of wanted to keep with that trajectory of something that was special. Even Saunders, like they came up with a unique way to sell ice cream. It was still sexy, you know what I mean?
Right.
So we wanted to keep that passion. I think that also too is that we kind of saw what Dan Gilbert was doing downtown. We heard his vision, and we wanted to participate from a minority standpoint. So we wanted to show that we believed in what he was saying, and we kind of, you know, put our presence, you know, where our actions. We wanted our actions to kind of match our conversation, and that's what we did at that point.
Now, speaking of that, because I understand you also, as a young minority woman, actually have a great relationship with Dan Gilbert and his team. How did that come about with you guys? Is that because you bought into the vision and you stepped out and said, I want to be a part?
I think yes and no. It's kind of like a twofold. So we were on the block before we had a relationship with Dan Gilbert.
Okay.
He had a partner named Steven Piazza, who kind of adopted me as one of his mentees. He died a couple years ago, but he kept telling Dan, it's this black girl on your block you need to pay attention to. She's really about to try to figure this out. And he kept, you know, reading press clippings, and he been hearing about it. And when we finally connected, it was like, you know, it was, you know, he became a friend.
Okay.
You know, people can, Dan is definitely a serial entrepreneur. And one of the things that I had admired most about him was the fact that he didn't wait on anybody. You know, I think you understand by being on the forefront of trying to bring back Flint, you almost need somebody who willing to put their own money up and ride.
Right.
And Dan put his money up, and he single-handedly started the momentum of bringing the city back. And he started started recruiting investors. You know, a lot of people who are investing in Detroit right now wouldn't be investing in it if it wasn't for Dan Gilbert. And even a lot of the businesses that are down there are businesses that he funded. So I do think you almost kind of needed a person like that. I guess, and sometimes people say he like our Bloomberg. You know, Bloomberg did the same thing in New York at one particular time when it was kind of coming back. So you have to respect that from that standpoint. And, you know, it's a lot of growing pains because he's growing really fast. And of course, we've been hindered by his pace. It kind of slowed us down when he had the stroke. And then when he was on his way coming back to the office, and then COVID hit. So I think we at a crossroads right now in terms of trying to figure out like what exactly is he's going to do. I think the thing that's in our blessing is that he's only 58. So I can't really see him retiring. But what I do see is that he'll probably be a little bit more wiser about how he go about things. And I guess time will tell what that look like. But he definitely gave Detroit the jump start that it needed. And even with some of the solutions that we've had with COVID, it's been his initiation. So if it's the helpline for people to be able to get tested, if it's funding the testing centers. So he and Jamie Dimon came together again when we couldn't get solutions from our president.
So let me ask you, when you guys are talking, when you as an entrepreneur were talking, of course you had to have business plans, kind of go through some of the things that, because you were also part of another group. I remember we were talking about it, and it slips my mind now, that went through a training process.
TechTown.
Yes, TechTown.
So we went, So TechTown was one of the first, it's a partnership with Wayne State University, and they actually started figuring out ways to become like a hub for entrepreneurs. So they have tech and they have retail. So we went into the retail boot camp, and that's how we kind of connected with Dan Gilbert, because the year that Bear Rock, which is his real estate development arm, the cohort that we participated in was the winner was able to get a space through his location. So that's what that was our entry to the door. The second thing is that we was also part of the Chase Colors of Entrepreneur Fund. So we were able to benefit for those loan programs that Chase was getting minorities through their philanthropy, which also gave us a ton of PR as well. So I always say we the community development people. So we actually got a lot of funding through CDFIs. The mayor helped us out a lot too. Duggan actually, connected us with Detroit Economic Growth Corp before Motor City Match even came to an existence. And we were able to actually get gap funding from him, and as well as Invest Detroit in their urban retail. So we were able to get a lot of things from those partners, and they've been a blessing to us because, everything that you do is on projections. And when those projections are met, you need to be able to have partners who can be able to answer the call so they can, restructure payments, or they can find another grant for you, or just keep guiding you through the process. They act as advisors. I think banks are a little different when you're a minority. And most importantly, but for you to even get funded, that's like a huge hurdle. But for those who are able to get funded, that means if we lose everything.
Right.
So I always try to keep that in mind to let them know, hey, this might not look like this can't work for you, but that's not an option for me.
Right.
You gotta make this. So what we doing?
Yeah, there you go. And I think that's the attitude that a lot of entrepreneurs, being minority, has to have. The option of failing or not working should not be present. You got to push your way through. You got to turn the next rock over. You got to take the no and turn it into a yes. You cannot give up. So from the beginning of your journey to your present, how many years have you been actually working at this?
So I entered the program with Retail Boot Camp in the summer of 2014.
Okay.
we actually physically opened November 2015. So this November, it will actually be the beginning of the 5th year.
Wow.
I just made profit this past 2019.
So it was just not a overnight success.
It wasn't, you know, it wasn't. It probably could have been, but it wasn't, you know. And what I mean by that is that, you know, just the hurdles, you know, being downtown and people trying to figure out what's the pricing for lease. You know, when we came downtown, everything was just
there's Kendall.
On a speculation, like it's gonna be this many people and everybody coming. So, you know, it's just been something that, you know, Dan Gilbert's team had to kind of work with us on to be able to make sure that we have the right break-even points, which is, you know, when you're the first, it's also the trial and error.
Right.
So I always tell people, when you're the first, don't mean you get the better deal. You know, I think I always have to remind them that everybody's benefiting from the lessons that you learn from us.
Right. So being
now,
that
can we go back and take care of it?
Yeah. So the trailblazer doesn't always get the best deal at the beginning. He has to come back.
Oh, no, not at all. You know, I tell people all the time, Russell Simmons was a trailblazer, but Jay-Z and Diddy became billionaires. So, you know,
that's for sure.
So, you know, it is what it is. And it's painful, you know, because the thing is that it is a painful grind. I guess God picked the right person for it.
Right.
Because it's a two-step process that you have to do. You have to figure out how to not give up who you are, and at the same time be politically correct. You know, I always tell people I admire Colin Kaepernick, but that we see different endings to that story. He has the better of the endings, but we've also saw 3 gold medal people who spent the last, you know, years of their life being a janitorial because of taking a stand. Right. So we got to figure out, you know, what's that balance is, because we know what history can and can't do to us. So it's just what it is. And COVID has been a different thing as well. So with COVID, it's been a double jeopardy, because at the same time as I was kind of getting ready to start the reopening process, that's when the protesting started happening on my street.
Right.
So that was kind of difficult as well. And I think at this time, if you're a business owner and a minority business owner, you really been thinking about, not only does Black lives matter, but I think Black businesses matter, because you really think about just the double standards that you have to go through to even open.
Right.
Which is freaking unfair, you know. So, you know, you dealing with the fact that, you know, it's a lot easier for somebody to get a $600,000 mortgage and they can't even get a loan for a business. It's just crazy to me. And just the amount of collateral that you have to put up to be open. We just have a lot of, I think the business aspect shows you the real systematic racism. And when I say systematic racism, I mean it not from an intentional standpoint, but just the protocols and the standards and the norms that has been put into the system of processes that has really just led for it to be a difficult way. And now there become a process without even subject to review.
Wow.
They just become the norm.
Right, right. And so you saw, no doubt for you, you saw a lot of that. Let me, I see Dr. Kendall Wright.
I'm good, man. How you doing?
There you go. There you go. Hey, sir.
Good morning. Hey, Regina, how are you?
I put myself on mute, so we
no. Yeah, we're
great. How are you?
Aspiring and achieving.
Good.
Absolutely.
So, Regina, this is Dr. Kendall Wright, world-renowned traveler, trainer, great guy, just a good man of God, but happens to be at the top of his game when it comes to corporate America training. They love him in Hong Kong, I understand. So he's over there more than he is in the United States, I understand. So,
I've been there a lot.
Yeah, and talking about protesting, I'm sure you can, they have taken protesting to a whole new level about how they get down. We need to teach the Have you seen the way they protest over there?
Oh, absolutely.
Pat?
I saw some video, yes.
Ooh, I'm like talking about innovation.
Well, when you, I believe it was Nietzsche who said, when you have a strong enough why, you can endure almost any how. And once we get committed to why we're protesting, we'll have to cycle back through the dogs and cycle back through the fire hoses and the batons to the head. But if you believe strongly enough in what it is that you're protesting for, uh, you'll endure that. I keep telling folks that if you're not willing to be inconvenienced, then you're not positioned to make progress.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Sure.
I agree to that.
Dr. Kendall, let's talk for just a moment. Me and Regina was talking about her plot for her business, and you're in corporate America at a whole nother level that most people won't even be phantom to get to see, because you train corporate executives on a very high end, but you're also able to work with the common labor person in that company. Kind of tell me how you're able to go through. Is there a difference between the mindset of the corporate executive and the laborer? Your training.
In large part, they're very similar. Most people want to be good at what they do.
Okay.
And so in order to get them to come into the conversation, you have to demonstrate to them that you can help them be better in creating the outcomes and the results that you're hoping to create. And so for the individual contributor, it's about immediate skill proficiency, about meeting the expectation of their supervisor and their next up supervisor. For the executive, it's about actualizing the objectives that are set forth in whatever quarter we are working in. And so the bottom line is, again, people want to be good at what they are doing. They want to excel at that. And as long as you can show them a way to get over some of their hurdles, the conversation will move pretty smoothly.
Okay. So in your training, when you're and we're gonna switch just for a moment. When we talk about small business and entrepreneurs, kind of give us maybe in your training or in your thought of training. You've trained quite a few people over the years. What that really looks like for an entrepreneur. What would be some of the tips, the first things you would tell them as if we're starting out a business?
Yeah.
What would that kind of look like to you?
So the first thing is you really have to believe that what you are providing to the marketplace is of value. Okay. It's hard to sell something that you don't think truly has value. And the way that shows up is, number one, you'll be reluctant to tell people what you do. You'll be reluctant to demonstrate how you do it, and you will undercharge. You will not charge what your true value is. And so the first thing for me, and based on my experience, is you got to get your head right before you start thinking about getting your pocket right. Okay. You really have to see yourself as being of service to your clientele and believing in your product and service enough that you're willing to say, hey, I'll do this for free just to show you how proficient, how efficacious it is toward meeting your goals and your objectives. So don't despise your small beginnings. Nobody starts at the top, and there are a lot of lessons that you need to learn along the way to help you stay at the top once you get there.
Right. Regina, when you're starting when you were starting out, can we just talk about some of and I know there are many sacrifices, but just give us for instance, Regina, when you started out on your journey, any particular one or two things that stand out as a sacrifice? And I know you got a daughter and a family, so quite naturally, that's probably.
So this was actually my third time going out, and my first two times I was like really successful out the back financially.
Okay.
But when 2008 hit, I realized that I really was kind of balling too hard. So I realized that being an entrepreneur the first thing you need to do is figure out how to make your overhead personally as minimum as possible. I think people don't realize the importance of that. So outside my daughter, not including her, my personal expenses are $1,000 a month.
Okay.
So people be like, oh my God, but you have to, because at the end of the day, you have to be able to be in a position to miss paychecks. And I mean, you know, people say, well, you need to be able to pay yourself, but yeah, I'm gonna just tell you that paying yourself is very unattractive when you're on a balance sheet and you're looking to get funding, and they see that you gave yourself $25,000 and you're looking for a loan for $100,000. So they don't never want to see. They want to see the sweat equity. So they want to see that your time is put on that balance sheet and you ain't withdraw anything. So I think that that's just the truth if you still like seeking funding. I think the second thing is you have to be patient. This actually came from Kathy Hughes, who owned Radio One. So I don't know how God made us connect that day, but what she said to me was that she remembered paying for her loan, and she was probably in this by 10 years, and she didn't even realize that she had made her loan payment and that she made a profit. So immediately got out my head that this whole thing about needing to be profit in 3 to 5 years is really some BS, right?
Right.
We fund differently. So most African-American businesses are funded on debt. A lot of times when we fund, have the cash flow or the cash influx that we can immediately put back into our business. And I think the third thing that's very important, if you're a serious entrepreneur, I really think it's impossible to kind of be an entrepreneur part-time. That's a hustle.
Yes.
So if you need to figure out how to work your business and be in your business, the whole notion that, you know, I'm going to work my job and work this business simultaneously, it's just not even conducive to that type of environment anymore. It might have, been, in my dad's era, but corporations want to see 150% of your time. And most people who invest in you, especially CDFIs, they need to see you put in 150% of your time. So that's the three things I think that's key. And probably two of them is kind of linked together.
Okay, great. Well, listen, I have Dr. Ruben West has joined the conversation. Good morning, sir.